If you're a man and you don't have Surfshark on your phone or on all your devices, because one subscription works on all your devices as it happens, what are you playing at? You mean to tell me that you've never wanted to change your location to watch that game of football that's not on your local broadcast? Have you never wanted to do that? You have wanted to do that. You've never wanted to see the cool shows they've got on Netflix in America? I'm sure you have. You've never wanted to watch a certain kind of fun content in the UK, but your government don't like it. Got to prove your identity just to have a bit of fucking alone time these days. Not anymore. Yeah, not with Surfshark. The gift that keeps on giving is what they've described it. By they, I mean me. Because it doesn't just do the fun stuff, it also protects you online. You want to log into public Wi-Fi and check your banking or check your emails without worrying about a data breach. It protects you. Surfshark encrypts your internet connection and keeps you completely safe. And getting this to work is so easy that even an idiot like me finds this so easy. Just one click of a button and I'm in America. Brilliant. And this product is so good that they've done a 30-day money-back guarantee if you're not satisfied, which you will be. Man. Every man should have this app. It should be a thing that we grade each other on. If you're in a bar and you see a mate and you got Surfshark and he goes, what? And you go, well, you haven't heard of it. What's wrong with you, like? Genuinely, where the fuck is this going? It is class, though. I'm not even lying. Like, it is absolutely class. And that is why you need to click the link in the description below and get your 4 months extra of Surfshark when you use our link. Surfshark.com/kickoff. Get it sorted. Get on it now. Eddie Howe has left Newcastle United, and I don't know what the hell is going on at this club anymore. My head's all over the place. Like, the amount of emotions I'm experiencing right now, this must what women feel like. Do you know what I mean? Like, what the fuck? My first emotion was relief. This should have happened so long ago, and it's actually painful how many people, in football media are so clueless to that fact. But anyone who really watched Newcastle closely, who understands football, knows he lost that dressing room. He ran out of ideas months and months and months ago. And that cup win, which we'll always be grateful for, but it papered over the cracks so badly. And look, there's an element of sadness because we had that happy memory with Eddie, and a few happy memories. He had a good start to life at Newcastle. We'll always be grateful for that. I'll never forget the flag of Eddie, after we did the parade for the cup win, coming down in the city. It looked fantastic, and it was a lovely moment for him, and one that he earned, and one that he deserved all the credit in the world for. But what people never seem to understand is the little minions that he had in his back pocket who defended him relentlessly at Newcastle was, if you deserve the credit for when it's going well, you deserve the credit when it's going badly. And Eddie deserves full credit for all of it, the good and the bad. And he deserves credit for the situation that he is leaving us in now, because as much as there's relief there, there's sadness there, there's also frustration, because there's frustration at the board. What the hell have you let happen here? This man should have been sacked after the Sunderland games. Pick one, either one. He didn't have a fucking clue at that point. He didn't know how to adapt. He didn't want to adapt. As much as Eddie Howe had a rise at Newcastle, he was also exposed at Newcastle for being a one-trick pony who only knew how to play high-intensity football. And the minute you have more than one game a week, the whole model of Eddie Howe, it falls to bits. His teams cannot keep possession. They concede late goals consistently. That's why we threw away more points than anyone else. And that was a man last season who spent £700 million in total, and he lost 17 games in a season. The same number of games Steve Bruce lost on a shoestring budget. Everyone slated him. No one put the microscope on Eddie Howe the way he deserved it after such an epic failure. And after the board said, we're going to evaluate things at the end of the season with 7 games to go, when we average 1 point a game, relegation form, they did not act. And now what's happened is Eddie Howe has clung on to his job for dear life. He's getting closer and closer to the season. We've just lost 4-1 last night to Bristol under him, by the way. And after wasting so much of this summer with a manager who now isn't going to be here, Eddie has looked at probably Bruno Guimarães' likely departure and thought, nah, fuck it. I don't want to have to deal with next season because it's going to be fucking hard. And it was going to be hard, especially under Eddie. We were staring relegation in the face. And now people are going to go, see, you wanted Eddie out. He has caused the rot in this squad. Make no mistake about it. He is the rat off the ship right now, in my opinion, because he's leaving us in an absolute mess that he is largely orchestrated. Not 100%, but a massive percentage. So don't anyone rewrite history next season. Oh, well, you all wanted Eddie out. Look at you now. This guy has left this ship with us. It's a sinking ship because of him. When you spend 700 million quid and your captain last night is Jacob fucking Murphy, don't talk to me about he was flawless, you fucking idiots. Oh, it's not fair because he has to sell his best players. Unai Emery doesn't seem to struggle with it, and Eddie Howe has spent 10 times what Unai Emery spent at Aston Villa. It's football. Football managers lose their top players and the refresh. Get on with it. Do your job. There's a handful of clubs in world football who don't have to worry about that, if that. But because Eddie's a nice guy, we have to feel sorry for him as if that's not part of football management. I don't want to fucking hear this bullshit anymore, man. I'm annoyed that he wasn't man enough to do this months and months and months ago, because now a new manager's got to come in. We've got a couple of weeks before the first game of the season. We're in a fucking mess. We lost 4-1 last night at Bristol, and I'm like, literally, like, this is doomed. This is so doomed. And you hear Eddie's post-match comments again. Pretty strong performance. 4-1 we lost to Bristol, man. I think that's the saddest thing of all about Eddie's departure is I really liked Eddie, and I thought he conducted himself with a lot of class for a while. But when things went really bad, when it was glaringly obviously bad, he would just openly lie to our faces. And I found that disgusting towards the end, especially when I've been watching a lot of videos of Kevin Keegan, and like Keegan, RIP, legend. We love him, we miss him, we always will. He was so honest, and too honest, right? And maybe that was a little bit of his undoing, but my God, just watching those interviews, it just made me just wish we had someone who had that level of bravery and like who was big enough for the job, because honestly, Eddie, he never was. Despite some of the success he had, it was small time mentality, which really, it worked in our advantage when we were the underdogs, but when it was time to kick on, he didn't have it in him. Not as a man, not as a tactician, neither. You got to be brave, you've got to be ruthless, man. You can't just let your mates hang around that locker room while they age out, while they deteriorate on the pitch. You've got to be ruthless. He wasn't. Tactically, he had one way of playing, and when it was time to adapt, he didn't want to. And when he tried the odd thing, it literally, you'd see at the end of a game when he realised, right, this isn't working, he'd just throw a whole bunch of players on, tactics would go out the window, and it would just be like throwing as much shit at a wall and seeing what sticks. It was clueless. And it's sad to say, because again, we wanted this to be different with him, but that love, that emotion that is so powerful within this club, and you see that with the way the outpouring of love for Kevin Keegan, and it's kind of weird because we're always gonna like hold Eddie in high esteem for what he did achieve, and for him to quit the same week as Kevin Keegan passing, it's a strange time to be a Newcastle fan. There's a lot of fucking emotions in this fan base, and I know we've been divided, and I've been a big voice in that. I take my share of it, but we've never needed to be together more than this, really. And I think part of that can be brought on by the passing of King Kev, and like we all know now, we're really facing the shit next season now. This club's in trouble here. Unless we get a manager in who is really good and can figure this mess out that's been left behind, we're in trouble. Bruno's about to leave by the looks of it. The manager's leaving. The whole club is going to be redefined now. And Ross Wilson, our director of football, pressure is on. Big time. And some of the profiles of players he's been getting, I'm not mad at, but it's imperative that he picks a manager who plays the kind of football that can take you to the next level, because that was the issue with Eddie. He hit his ceiling. Eddie might get another club who were like 15th in the league and take them to 7th or 6th or what. He might do that again. And if a Man United underperform like happened with us, some of those top clubs have some rough times like Spurs did, he may even go higher. But that is it. That is all he is capable of. And because he can't keep possession, because he doesn't like technically based footballers, he only wants athletes, you are never going to go very far with that. Not where we're hoping to go, which feels farther than ever. And can you believe that? After spending £700 million and losing 17 games last season, Eddie, I feel like we're back to square one. And that is the most damning thing about Eddie Howe's time as Newcastle manager that there can be. Yes, he achieved, but he took us so far backwards after that achievement that it's like he never even came. 700 million spent. We're still starting Joe Willock, Jacob Murphy, Fabian Shaw. The squad had not been cleaned up. Players need moved on. You have to be ruthless. We need a technical football manager who understands the game to a level that Eddie just never did. High pressing and duel winning. Anyone can do that in football. When Eddie first started playing that style, it wasn't necessarily the main way people won football matches. Everyone's caught up to us now. He's been found out. And in countless games against your Unai Emerys, even Ruben Amorim, oh my God, Ruben Amorim just tactically dicked Eddie last season. And I'm like, you've got no pull as well in the transfer market. Like, it's clear that when De Zerbi went to Spurs, there was a pull there. Even though they were in a mess of a club, he could bring players to want to play for him. Eddie couldn't do that in Newcastle countless times. We only signed players when there was no other options. And again, emotionally, I'm all over the place. Yeah, I could keep coming back to that. It is sad. He's leaving us in a mess. And that I'm frustrated by, because he hasn't been able to walk away with a clean slate. Like, this isn't good, man, what he's doing here. He should have been a man about it and admitted it to himself and everyone else at the end of last season, because there was countless games where it was truly pathetic. And it's extremely worrying that the football people at this club couldn't see that, didn't act, didn't have the balls. You know, when we said there's 7 games to go, Eddie got one point a game, and we still kept them on. And now we're in a shambles. Sunderland finished above us last season after he spent 250 million in the summer and 700 million in total. If anyone says this is unfair or he was hounded out by the fans, no, he wasn't. Do you know the amount of fucking, like, yeah, I'm annoyed at him. Generally, the fans were like actually very supportive of him despite all the shit. So I don't want anyone blaming the fans. The fans were unbelievably accepting of the crap that he was serving up. And it wasn't even just last season that made it obvious he should have gone. It was the summer, the transfers, the players were signing. Sean Sturr, a technically based footballer who's 18 years old. I mean, like, it's the most un-Eddie Howe thing ever. And I'm glad. I'm glad we're going for technical players. But, like, Eddie doesn't want to fucking play kids. He literally has to have a gun to his head in order to start a youth player. And people will point to, like, Lewis Miley or Lewis Hall or whatever. He did everything he could to avoid playing them for as long as humanly possible. And then it was like when injuries happened, he'd be forced into it. And then it would be like, oh, well, maybe that does work. And then he'd take them out of the team inexplicably again later on. He doesn't like it, man. It's fucking obvious. So there's another thing that we need to bear in mind when you're picking a new manager, as someone who wants to give the young players a chance. Because as we seen at the end of last season, when Lewis Hall was dropped for Dan Burn at left back, Eddie doesn't have the bravery or the balls to stick with the young kids, and he immediately panics when he's under pressure. He immediately goes with what he thinks is safe, and it still doesn't fucking work. I've just checked Twitter and I'm already getting blamed for Eddie Howe leaving. My God, people are so stupid, man. Honestly, what, you think Eddie Howe fucking walked away from 9 million a year because True Geordie made a YouTube video? You fucking idiots. Literally, he clung on to that job for dear life. He should have been sacked 10 times before he finally walked. Shut up. Eddie walked after a 4-1 defeat to Bristol City, mate, knowing he's probably going to lose Bruno, the man who bailed him out. Without Bruno last season, we would have been relegated last season. That's the thing that no one's going to talk about next season. Oh, they've lost Eddie. Now they're in trouble. No. We lost Bruno and now we're in trouble. Eddie was fucking shit last season. This is saying something. It might have been one of the most underperforming managers I've ever seen in charge of Newcastle. Like, yes, Steve McLaren, Steve Bruce, yeah, they were shit. Guess what? They had shit players. Eddie actually could have done something last season. He was terrible. And that's after £700 million spent. But I'm the reason this man's walked away from his pay packet. He knew the writing was on the wall, and he's jumping before he's pushed because he knows this is going to be terrible next season. But we don't get to walk away. We've got to deal with a mess that he's left behind now, and a mess that should have been avoided because of the board should have had their fucking finger out looking for managers months ago. Since all that time, you've seen that Glasner's moved, Areola's moved, that all these managers have gone. De Zerbi, I'm not saying they would have come to us, but if we'd got there first, like when we should have done, maybe we would have gotten a better manager. Now what? Fucking mess. Look, I'm frustrated, as I've said, but I do want to say thanks to Eddie Howe, which might seem mental given how much, criticism I've given him. But look, he helped us avoid relegation, he helped turn the club around, and he helped us get into the Champions League and get a cup, which we'll be forever grateful for. And if he'd have quit that day after we won the cup, then his legacy would have been quite different. But the damage that he's managed to do in the last 12 months and in not replenishing the squad throughout his time at Newcastle in the way he should have been, he's taken us all the way back to square one, I'm afraid. And that's the sad bit about it. Even though we spent £700 million, and yes, we've been selling players recently, regardless, we're basically back to square one. And I'm just hoping that whoever we bring in, we get a possession-based manager, one who wants to play proper football, not just booted up and high press and just thick football. I want intelligent football, man. I want attacking football. It's another thing that the Keegan era just brought back to me is like going into games knowing that you were going to have a fucking go. Last season, Sunderland away, we parked the fucking bus against the newly promoted Sunderland side. We did it against Leeds as well. Just cowardly football. I am so sick of it, man. Every single game of football we go into, we should be trying to win the game. That shouldn't be negotiable. You're a Newcastle United manager. Have a fucking go. I'd rather go down swinging than the way we went down last season. It was fucking horrendous. And the reality is, I don't give a fuck what anyone says. We nearly got relegated last season. If it wasn't for Bruno, we would have been relegated this season with Eddie Howe. We were on that course. He knew it. everyone knew it. 4-1 defeat to Bristol tells you everything you need to know in the state that we're in right now. And did the players leaving play a little role in that? Yeah, to some degree. But with Tonali, with Anthony Gordon, with Bruno, it was basically Bruno and Voldemara's goals that saved us last season. Not Eddie Howe. He was fucking terrible. And I'm not going to rewrite history just because, you know, it's sad that he's leaving. I'm not. Truth is the fucking truth. I'm going to leave it at that. I'm definitely going to have to come back to this with a clearer mind because I've literally just switched the fucking camera on and just talked. So yeah, my head's all over. Like, I'm actually, the rest of the day I'm going to be like, fucking hell. Because the emotional attachment you have to your football club. And like I said earlier, we don't get to walk away. And now we've got to pick up the pieces. Hit the like button, subscribe. I'll see you on the next one.